In June, I read 9 books in total. It's kind of a mixed genre, so let's start from my favorite of the month to my least favorite one. Welcome, my name is Edel and I really love to talk about books. So my favorite book in June was So People Know It's Me. It's a translated work to English from Spanish and it's one of the best books I read this year. It's just so thought-provoking as someone who really loves to read something that could make me gain new perspective in life, or just something that I feel like more people needs to recognize. And this book critiques about societies and how people treat people who's in poverty, people who's powerless, such as money aspect, or their life just they don't have the privilege from family or connection. It's just so hard. To be more specific, and So People Know It's Me, they talk about this one person in prison. He was accused of murder, although it was self-defense. So in this book, we gotta see his life from before prison and after, which is his current life. Sometimes we forget that people in the prison have family and their life was just not about the crime itself. They done a lot of things. Not all of them are bad. Perhaps they have something worth sharing to the world. I cannot describe how I feel when I read this book because I got so many mixed feelings. I went through so many emotions while reading this book. I cried, laughed, and just staring at the wall. I also grabbed my journal when I read this book. I really need to write down everything, like my thoughts. It's so thought-provoking. So if you love that kind of book, I really suggest you to pick up this book. At first, I heard this book from Louisa. I don't know why I read this book actually, but the cover really intrigues me. It's like calling me. Then I fell in love with it after I read a few pages. I just cannot put it down. And my second favorite book of the month is Atmosphere. This is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I really love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I almost read all of her works, I think. The one that I haven't read is Carrie Soto's Back. Other than that, I already read most of it. It's a beautiful book. And the writing style, it describes love in a different way. It's about 2 astronauts that fall in love. The friends here is really worth having. There's also a misunderstood friend. Actually, I didn't think I would love this as much as I did, because I just really love the cover, like how it looks to put it on my shelf. Other than that, I'm not interested in NASA or astronaut, actually. But it turns out to be one of my favorite books this month. Atmosphere proves me that it doesn't matter if I don't like about the things in the book, because it's Taylor Jenkins Reid. The way she wrote something, she is really passionate. I don't know how to describe it, but every time I read Taylor Jenkins Reid book, it's just I know that she really wants to point out something that is so powerful. Because this book also have this one aspect, which is let me form a real sentence. So the misunderstood friend is a woman, and she's trying to fit into the boys group because she thought with proving others that she could fit into that circle, it means women is eligible for NASA and astronaut thing, being in control, laid back with the nasty jokes that the boys throw to them. She thought being agreeable and just laughing at those jokes would change society's belief, but in real life, it doesn't. This book really talks about that too. That's why she's one of my favorite authors. And the third one contains psychological theme, which is obsession. It's my first Stefan Zweig ever. With only 100 pages, Stefan Zweig really intrigues me and captivates me into the chess world. And I believe it's not just about chess, because he really wants to pull the psychological theme. When you're obsessed with something, you become crazy and you keep thinking about it until you cannot sleep. If you love Queen's Gambit, this series on Netflix, and chess in general, you will love this book. Trust me, you have to read this, especially if you want to get to know Stefan Zweig writing style. As I remember, they were in a ship. There's this one chess world champion player there that is undefeated until there's this one stranger who can compete with him in the same level, almost in the same level. The most interesting part is he never even touched a chessboard before. He only played in his mind, I don't know how many times, of course with himself, for 8 months. He got nothing to do. He was locked up in this one room. At that moment, there was nothing he could do other than playing chess in his mind. Yeah, he cannot stop until one day he becomes sick. The obsession became unhealthy and he stopped playing until that one night in the ship, he met this world champion and see the other 3 stranger who competes with him. But yeah, of course, they fail over and over again. But this chess-obsessed person interrupt them because he cannot help himself and want to help them. And the story began from there. And the 4th book is Secrets of a Charmed Life. I haven't heard anyone talking about this book, which is kind of upsetting. This book deserves more love. It's about 2 sisters who got separated because of war. But the one that captivated me was this one woman. She's a famous painter who survived the war, and finally she accepted this one interview because usually she doesn't want to be interviewed by anyone. She finally talks about the war and how she survived it. There are so many things that I would love to talk about, but I cannot because it will give spoilers. This is a historical fiction with kind of a mystery. Also, it's kind of sad. So prepare tissues when reading this book. And if you love sister dynamic, it really describes how sister really lives. They keep coming back to each other, even though sometimes they made a decisions that is wrong. And while we're talking about sister, let's talk about Little Women. I annotate this book for my sister, but the other copy, because this copy is for myself, so I haven't read this copy yet. This book gives me comfort. Their family lives and how the Marmies is the mom, her perspective and her beliefs is just so beautiful. And if you haven't read it and you love sisters, reading about them and how struggles can become your strongest point, you should read this book. But for a heads up, there are some parts that might be boring for some people, although for me, it feels just like life in general. Life would be full of surprise sometimes, but there are some times that life would be just a stable thing. And this book really feels like that. So yeah, I would say just pick the right time to read this book because it's not a short one. For the next book, I read it on my Kindle and it's my first Elena Ferrante book. It's The Lost Daughter. I also watched the movie after reading the book because I cannot help it. It's really interesting to read from the mom's point of view. She has this guilt that been built over and over, and that guilt changed her life permanently, like the way she think about taking care of her daughters and everything basically. It's really crazy that knowing one thing that happened could change your life. The Lost Daughter is really worth reading, especially if you love something that describes the atmosphere really vividly. To be honest, it's quite confusing for me because it's my first Elena Ferrante book. The way she wrote and tell the story is just, I'm not used to it. And I finally read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This is not the 1818 version. I would love to reread this book in the future because I just think that I didn't read it at the right time. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would, which just kind of upset me because I know there's so many things that really thought-provoking in here. I actually love the concept, and I think you all know about Frankenstein. It's about the monster that was created by Victor Frankenstein, the doctor, and how he's really misunderstood. He's not supposed to be treated like that. And the next book I read on my Kindle, it was Every Summer After. I couldn't say much about this book. It's a romance book with shy male characters, I believe. I just don't love it. I really love to read about male characters that knows what he wants. So this book just feels like a miss for me. And the last book, I finished it in Singapore. It was Greyfriars Bobby. It's a beautiful book about a dog, a terrier dog that is so loyal. Unfortunately for me, it's kind of boring. Although I really love dogs. If you want to read something that is sad and beautiful at the same time, I would recommend this. And if you love dogs. I'm really sorry, but my camera just died. And I haven't picked my July TBR yet since I never follow my TBR. So I'm just gonna let my mood pick the read for me. Like whenever I finish a book, I'm just gonna pick another one. No TBR for this one.